Hello, Helen.
Hi, Rob. How's your week going?
Fine. I'm just so ready to get rid of exams. Can we get going straight away?
You mean redefine exams?
No, I don't want exams. We can do assessments, not exams. How's your week going?
I got a new sharpener today. I'm so pleased. It's been wanting one forever, and I love it.
I love it. Small things, Helen. Small gains.
Absolutely.
So really.
So today we're going to generate ideas because that's the second phase in the creative problem solving process. And obviously it's people sitting around a table, and what they're really doing is they are collaborating, open discussion, lively debate. This is what Coach in the Class pushes in our lessons with pupils, and it should happen with staff too. Why
Absolutely.
not?
And also it clears the air if you deal with problems in this way and discuss things.
Totally. It's about putting it out there. And staff often say they wish they had a bigger platform to voice their own opinion.
Lovely.
So we did clarify. Last week, we arrived at a question that we quite like, and now we've got to ideate. We've got to look at that question and tear it apart.
Ideate.
This is the fun part. Okay.
Super.
So ideate is where you brainstorm using some creative problem-solving tools to consider all options.
And opinions.
Or
I like
everybody's opinion, all right?
I like that.
So the tools that we're going to use are tools that Coach in the Class promote. We, in fact, have a course called
Maximizing Creativity,
where we push and we do 2 of these tools and we teach you how to use them. But these are just some of the many tools you can use to ideate with, okay? So we take that refined challenge statement that we worked on last week. So I just Googled what is assessment. It is the process of, and you're going to use this information to increase students' learning and development.
If only assessment were that.
And so I refined the question to be, how might we use assessment only to increase students' learning and development?
Much better question.
Okay, so that's what we need to look at. And so now we need to apply CPS tools to diverge, go wild, don't hold back, don't think of old ideas, because remember Einstein said trying to solve the problem the same way is not going to work. And then incubate is very important. So once you've done this, you don't arrive, you don't pick out 3 solutions at the end, but no more, so that you can sleep on it and develop it and grow it and think about it a bit more.
Incubation's amazing.
So it's all about generating many ideas. And here's the crux.
Ooh, rules,
because we've got to diverge without judgment. So if I say something like you said to get rid of exams, and I said, no, we're refining exams, I'm not allowed to say that to you.
Ooh, I like
you
that.
have freedom to say what you like. No one may tell you. Go for quantity. Just pump out ideas. Keep going. Don't only get 4 good ones.
So that's when you go that sort of cold water to hot water. You just keep going.
Great analogy. Making connections. So piggybacking off what you say. Oh, yeah, but also, and then I pick it. And then seek novelty. Go for weird, wild, and wonderful, because that's where creativity lives.
Yes, and also that's where you get those sparks of something completely original.
Totally. So now we're going to use a tool today. And
What
it's
tool?
It's a tool that I don't think many people use.
Ooh.
It's called visual relationships.
I love this tool.
Now, here is a picture of the sea. And the question is, how might we use assessment to increase student learning and development?
But that's got nothing to do with the sea.
Of course not. But now we start looking at it and we say, well, there's a stumbling block in the way. What is it? Well, it's time, isn't it? Because this takes us a lot of time. But the sea's flowing around it. So we can actually do these exams. We move around them.
And what about all the little bits of sand that actually make up the beach? So little bits of assessment, little bits of learning that make up the development of the student.
Okay, and I also see then all these little rocks as being lots of little tests and not one major big test, like that thing in the middle, which we're all moving around, which is exams, instead of all the little tests that we could be doing. So that's what I'm thinking. And then you're breaking it down into even smaller incidental tests, as in the sand. So that's how we're using the picture to think off-piste.
Okay.
Because we don't want to think the same stuff. The picture's forcing us to think differently. So this is chilled. How do we make exams more chilled? How do we make them more colorful?
Yes. I like the fact also that there's a big picture here. We're not close up anymore.
Okay.
We've got and actually assessment should be about the whole development, the learning of the whole child.
Yes.
So how do we assess the whole child
in an informal, relaxed, unanxious way?
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? I see a little bit of mess in the foreground. It's a little bit. It's not all
which somebody might sweep up and rake up, but
actually assessment can be messy, and so is development. You know, it's not all pretty.
So you've got to gather all those lots of little marks together
or even informal assessments and children also develop at different rates. So that's why it's a bit messy.
And also some tests could be out of 10 and some could be out of 30 and some could be practical and some, so there's the mess in it. It's not one solid sitting in 1 week.
Love it.
Okay.
Getting ideas. Oh, Helen, I'm getting a little... I'm getting a theme in your photographs or your pictures for visual relationships.
You know where my mind is.
Yes, week 12, while the rest of us are stuck in week 8.
Yeah, I just jumped ahead to holiday time.
I love it.
But how do we pick this? Okay, first of all, that shaded umbrella is protecting you. Who is protecting us from the harshness of exams?
Sure, I know. I look at how anxious children are.
And teachers, look how they're getting so like, oh, be quiet, study, and have you prepped?
And feeling anxious about if their children don't perform and they're going to look like bad teachers.
So we do need protection, and that's got to come to that lovely chilled chair. But what about this glass in the front? This
feels nourishing,
ice cold thing.
Refreshing. It feels refreshing.
It's the right thing, hey? And how can we put that into exams or assessment?
I'm thinking it's tasty. It could be enjoyable. It could be refreshing. It could be something different.
So you know what I'm thinking? What about squashing all assessment into 1 week? And you're not allowed to prep. You're not allowed to set beforehand. You're not allowed to moderate.
Ooh.
Of the 10 weeks, only 1 week is done with assessment. But
yes, so you could know about it at the beginning of the term. So you know week 8 is assessment week, and it all has to be source-based, practical, no prep.
No prep, no studying. Okay?
I like it.
And it's part of your teaching in that week, but you know that you're going to be pulling marks. So it's 1 week of this. This is an assessment week, but I actually prefer the one of the lots of little bits. But it's another thought, and we've got to
no judgment.
Exactly. It's just another thought.
Ooh, greenery,
growth, development. That's what we're meant to be doing here.
And look, also the trees are all different heights as well, and different thicknesses,
respecting
and
different children and their growth development.
Even though they're making up this one sort of shoreline forest, they're all slightly different.
And the clouds and the assessment,
fluid, evolving all the time,
easy, moving. Are we evolving with assessments?
Yeah, that's very interesting. And also that they can constantly change. They're still doing the same job. They're still clouds, but they're changing. Move fast. They move quite quickly sometimes.
And so it isn't just all that same right on paper. Maybe we got to grow a plant or go out into the garden or do something totally different.
And I like this as well, where we still got the sand meeting the sea here. We haven't done away with, where there's a bit of a, I think when the shore meets the sea, there's a bit of like an abrasive kind of thing. So assessments can be a little bit, tricky or
testing,
challenging. I was trying to think of challenging. Yes, exactly.
And that little shoreline is where we kind of meet the sea and the sand, and it gets a little bit.
Yeah, it can be messy and challenging.
So we quite like this idea of it being messy. I hope you're working on that. And we don't want it so rigidly struck to week 10.
Yes,
moderate.
exactly.
So that's where I think we're going.
Yeah.
So we have now, obviously, looked at all of these pictures. We've brainstormed. We would be writing it all down on paper somewhere, okay?
Yeah.
Or maybe big newsprint on the table, each of us with different colors. So what we've been doing is we've been doing this idea finding, just idea finding. And the tool was that visual relationships.
Yeah.
Now we need to evaluate all our thoughts. And the quickest, easy way to converge is to apply affirmative judgment. In other words, focus on what the question is. The question was, how are we going to use this assessment to grow our children? Keep novelty alive. I always make people choose 2 that they like and one of the wildest ones that they like, to keep the wild ones.
Yes, we don't go safe again.
Check your objectives. Remember what your main question is and stay focused around the question.
So this is, again, sort of the opposite of the diverge rules, in that we are judging now.
Yes.
Now we're going, that's not.
Yes. And we're not saying that. We're just saying not as cool as that.
Yes,
or we're saying
relevant.
The ones we like. We're not even talking about the fact that on the sheet that was a doof answer. These are my 3 best ones that I'm going to choose. So we're talking about best ones.
Cool.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah.
And so we're going to converge by doing hits and highlights, where we might highlight our favorite ones with pens. We might put stars next to them, dot vote. And then from each group, because hopefully each group has had a different discussion.
Oh, so if you had sort of 6 or 7 groups or 10 groups, you could
because
really
you want
generate
different personalities with different topics, and you don't want someone's voice to override and dominate. You want to hear from the smaller people.
So do you think that if you did this as a staff development sort of activity, that you'd include your art teacher and your music teacher and your foundation fairs and
hopefully the music teacher will bring in a wholly different perspective on this.
It might be interesting even to have sort of a few parent representatives, a child or two.
Yes, that would be
so cool.
That would be very cool. I like that idea.
Nice.
Cool. So we would dot vote, and we would arrive at a couple of strands that we like, some themes and ideas, and we arrive at an action or action statements that we want to develop further. We could even have 3.
Okay.
What I see us doing now as part of our assessment is, and we come up with some challenge statements that are a bit wild, a bit off-piste, and we put them up, and now we're going to incubate. We're not going to go straight to them. Because we're not going to do the develop part yet. We're going to spend at least 2 weeks, and that I'll put up in my staff room, all over my staff room with the teacher. What I see us doing now is maybe each group writes one.
Nice. So you've got a few different ones.
And then you've got 6. And then actually at the next session, we start dot voting on which one we actually prefer. And that's the one we're going to develop, that plan.
I love that, because sometimes in the moment you decide something, you think that that's the thing that you're going to do, and then you go away and think about it, and then you think, oh, actually, that's not the right thing.
Totally. So we don't want to leave it there. We don't want to develop. We're going to stay on ideate because that's what we're going to do.
Okay,
so really, this whole creative problem solving thing, we've done the clarifier, we've done the ideate, we're going to do develop in the near future.
Yes, in the near future. So Helen, you're in week 12. Enjoy it. While we're in week 8, wallowing. I'm wallowing in exams at the moment.
Everybody, because that's what's happening.
Have a wonderful rest of your week.